Rhamis Kent. He's a consultant with the Permaculture Research Institute and Permaculture Sustainability Consulting, originally from the United States of America, now residing in England, I believe.
Yes, England. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-'aliyyil 'azim. Assalamu alaikum. We learn from history that the existence of cities was made possible through the advent of agriculture approximately 7,000 years ago. These more densely populated centers were able to sustain themselves through the increased production of food crops per unit of area of land. It seems obvious that unless people have a way of feeding themselves adequately and are ensured access to a reliable source of enough clean, drinkable water, city living is simply not possible. So the development of cities and agriculture are intimately linked. In fact, the existence of cities is contingent on the establishment of agriculture. These innovations have been viewed by most as being hallmarks of human progress. That is, if we choose to look only at the favorable outcomes and ignore the flaws which accompany these historical phenomena. They aren't without their problems. In 1953, an American researcher with the U.S. Department of Agriculture named Dr. W.C. Loudermilk published a small book called Conquest of the Land Through 7,000 Years, detailing, quote, the record of agriculture in countries where the land had been under cultivation for hundreds, even thousands of years. His immediate mission was to find out if the experience of these older civilizations could help in solving the serious soil erosion and land use problems in the United States, which was struggling at the time with repairing the large-scale land degradation of the American Dust Bowl from the 1930s. He discovered that soil erosion, deforestation, overgrazing, neglect, and conflicts between herdsmen and cultivators had helped topple empires and wipe out entire civilizations. At the same time, he learned that careful stewardship of the Earth's resources through a variety of land restoration and regeneration measures had enabled other societies to flourish for centuries. He continues, in a very real sense, the land does not lie. It bears a record of what men write on it. In a larger sense, a nation writes its record on the land, and a civilization writes its record on the land, a record that is easy to read by those who understand the simple language of the land. This is very important and relevant information to consider because rapid growth in urbanization is causing increasingly more widespread land degradation, producing profound, far-reaching effects in the form of food and water scarcity, climate change, and threats to regional security and stability. Ultimately, if we are interested in reimagining cities as functionally sustainable spaces, quote unquote, we need to be clear about what makes them unsustainable to begin with, especially with cities being primarily industrial spaces. Quoting the American farmer and poet Wendell Berry, he states, if we are concerned about land abuse, then we must see that this is an economic problem. Every economy is by definition a land-using economy. If we are using our land wrongly, then something is wrong with our economy. This is difficult. It becomes more difficult when we recognize that in modern times, every one of us is a member of the economy of everybody else. But if we are concerned about land abuse, we have begun a profound work of economic criticism. Study of the history of land use, and any local history will do, informs us that we have had for a long time an economy that thrives by undermining its own foundations. Industrialism, which is the name of our economy and which is now virtually the only economy of the world, has been from its beginnings in a state of riot. It is based squarely upon the principle of violence toward everything on which it depends. And it has not mattered whether the form of industrialism was communist or capitalist or whatever. The violence toward nature, human communities, traditional agricultures, and local economies has been constant. The bad news is coming in literally from all over the world. So what are the basic essential needs of any and every human community? We need a continuous supply of uncontaminated water. Therefore, we need, among other things, soil and water conserving ways of agriculture and forestry that are not dependent on monoculture, toxic chemicals, or the indifference and violence that always accompany big-scale industrial enterprises on the land. Therefore, we need diversified, small-scale land economies that are dependent on people. Therefore, we need people with the knowledge, skills, motives, and attitudes required by diversified small-scale land economies. And all this is clear and comfortable enough until we recognize the question we have come to. Where are the people? Hopefully we'll discuss this as the panel discussion commences. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Rhamis.